What does it take for us to be happy? Well, we're part of nature, and so, like any other natural thing, our happiness comes through fulfilling our natural potential. What is our natural potential? Well, Aristotle says we're an animal with logos, or a rational animal. So that would mean our fulfillment comes through fulfilling our rationality. But fulfilling our rationality doesn't just mean becoming a good reasoner. It means something much more substantial than that. All human beings by nature incline towards knowing. That's what Aristotle says. Right? It's part of our nature as human beings that we like to know. We like to understand how things work. And that is more or less what it means to call us rational beings. And so it truly is a fundamental part of our nature that we are fulfilled through learning. And so it really is the case that human beings need education, and that human happiness fundamentally comes from becoming educated and learning how the world works. So that very much is true. But that's not the only level at which our rationality works. Aristotle says we're the rational animal, or more exactly, he says we're the animal with logos, the animal that takes account of things. And the fact is, we're taking account of things at many levels other than just that explicit level of thinking and reflection. One of the most important areas in which that happens is in our emotional life. In our emotional life, we often imagine that we're just reacting to the way things are. But Aristotle's point is that for human beings, our emotional life is a matter of assessment. When we experience something as frightening, or as irritating, or as pleasant, that's actually an assertion. That's the way we take account of things. We're saying that is a scary thing. That is an irritating thing. That is a desirable thing. And when we respond to those things emotionally, that's much more a reflection of us, of our assessments, than it is a straightforward reflection of the objective nature of things. So people, in other words, have a character. We have a habitual way we have developed for making sense of things around us. And that is what is reflected in the way we respond emotionally to things. And the fact is, the way we've developed our character isn't automatically in line with good thinking or good accounting for things. So the fact is, we grew up being schooled by our parents in how to interpret things, what we should find frightening, what we should admire, what we should find desirable. And we spend our whole childhood life practicing to be the person who lives that way. So that by the time we're basically adults, by the time we become beings who really think for ourselves and make decisions, we've already become someone at the level of our emotional reactions. What happens is, we often find that when we're trying to live well in later life, we're actually held back by our emotions, by our character, because we're afraid to do things we should do. We're irritated by things we shouldn't be irritated by. We find certain things overwhelmingly desirable that shouldn't be desirable. So, we take too many drugs, or we go out with the wrong kind of partner, or we get irritated with people who properly tell us how to behave or who criticize us, or we're afraid to take on situations that we should take on. So our developed character is a way of assessing situations that works against our explicitly sort of intelligent assessment of what we should be doing. So, how should we want to live? Well, the point is, we're the kind of being who can assess things. And so a human fulfillment is going to come through learning how to basically be realistic in recognizing what's going on in the world around you and to respond to it accordingly. And the fact is, we typically have habits that are not being, objective in their assessment of what situations are, but are carrying over problematic, you could say, subjective biases, prejudices, and hang-ups. And so our goal has to be to become good at taking account of situations, and then to work on our emotional responses so that we become someone who emotionally responds to good accounting rather than bad. So, happiness, in a basic way for Aristotle, you could say amounts to getting over yourself. In other words, learning to recognize that you, in your character, have become deeply habituated to poor ways of assessing things. And you need to recognize that that's a problem and get beyond your limited hangups, your fears, your antagonisms, and so on, and re-educate your emotions so that you are actually committed to what is good and to the way things actually are.